Good morning and happy early Canada Day. I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm Kaylee and I work for the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. I'll be helping Rob to film and chiming in today. I will just give a minute or two for people to log on. So this year, on-farm safety is more important than ever due to a lot of children being home from school, daycare, and summer camps as a result of COVID-19. John Deere, OFA, Agscape, and Farm and Food Care want to ensure that you have the knowledge and tools to stay safe when you are on the farm. Today, we are going to specifically learn about tractor safety. Tractors can come in many different colors, but today we're talking about the green tractor. Tractors are used all around the world and help farmers to plant crops, maintain crops, harvest crops, and can even be used to plow snow. Tractors play a major role on the farm and are the most common piece of farm equipment. In Ontario, we have 165,000 tractors and 70,470 farm operators. As you can see, tractors are large and very powerful. Size and strength can be the source of harm when not used properly. You are most likely to see tractors on the road during planting season and harvest, and farm fields and farmyards throughout the year. One of the most important rules is to never approach a tractor or large piece of equipment on your own, unless you are 100% sure that the operator can see you and they give a clear signal that it is okay to approach. So I'm going to wave at Rob and wait until he gives me the go-ahead to approach the tractor. So we're waving. Rob's acknowledging that it's safe, so we are going to approach the tractor.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rob, and we're here at Green Tractors in Nobleton today on this great sunny day, and we're going to talk a little bit about farm tractor safety. We're going to start our short presentation here on blind spots. As you can see, we've got some pylons spaced out. This one here is the first pylon that we're going to talk about. And as I rotate it around the front of the tractor, anybody who's ran or operated a farm tractor is going to realize that what I'm saying here is that nobody can see this pylon from the seat of the tractor, especially when you're paying attention to what you're doing and or the implement behind you. There's no way in heck you're ever going to see that pylon from the seat of the tractor. So if anybody was in those places, it's going to be a very dangerous spot for them to be. And you're going to have to remember to pay attention at all times, both if you're approaching the tractor and or if you're in the seat of the tractor, just for everybody's safety. So we're going to work our way around to the back of the tractor here now and talk a bit more about blind spots. As you can see, there's a big glass window here, so the side of the tractor really isn't going to be an issue for blind spots. You're going to be able to see most of what you want out the side window, and most of the seats in the newer tractors rotate so you can kind of see and swing as you're going to see what you're doing. We'll work our way around to the back where the blind spots do show up. And again, the seats rotate, but not right around 90 degrees in most tractors. So what we're getting at to the point here is that if you're in that seat up there, I mean, there is a rear view mirror, but you're not going to be able to see somebody who's young standing here behind the tractor. So you're going to have to be really careful if you're ever backing up in a yard to pay attention and make sure that nobody's out and underneath you, so that everybody stays safe on the farm, especially with everybody's kids being home with no school and no summer and no friends in the summer. So the big thing is going to be here to make sure you're always paying attention to what you're doing. And again, if you're this pylon here, you got to remember that if you can't see me, I can't see you. And what that goes for as well is your mirrors. So this tractor has a nice big set of mirrors on the outside of it. But again, if you can't see the mirrors, that normally means that the operator of the tractor cannot see you in those mirrors. So when you're passing tractors on the road, or when tractors are turning into laneways, that's when danger really strikes. you're going to have to make sure that you're paying attention for both your safety and the operator of the tractor. While we're at the back here, we're going to talk a little bit about slow moving vehicle signs, which this one has on it here now. So the three-way triangle with the reflective tape on the outside signifies the slow moving vehicle sign. What that says is that this piece is a farm equipment piece. So you'll see it on header wagons, you'll see it on some rotary mowers, you'll see it on all sorts of different farm implements, hay tools, balers, wagons. The big thing with that slow moving vehicle sign is what it says there is that you can do 40 kilometers an hour, but no more. So the big problem is when you get a tractor like this one here that does 50 kilometers an hour, technically you shouldn't do anything over 40. If you're doing over 40, you're leaving yourself open to a whole nother world of issues, because now all of a sudden you're classified as a vehicle, not a farm tractor. And that's neither right nor wrong, but that's the way the rule reads. So at 40 kilometers an hour, you can do basically anything as long as it's safe. Over 50, it's another whole game. So slow moving vehicle signs need to be attached to basically any piece of farm machinery, and you got to be careful when towing a piece of farm machinery behind a pickup, because now that 40 kilometers an hour applies to the pickup in front of it as well. So the next piece we're going to talk about here at the back of the tractor while we're out here, obviously, is going to be your PTO, which is right here in the center. Basically almost any farm tractor you've seen for 20, 30, 40, 50 years has had a PTO shaft on it. The PTO shaft is a very, very dangerous piece of machinery, especially when it's spinning. It's just like gym clothes rules, you know, hair pulled back, you got no jewelry on, no loose fitting clothing, so your sweater that fits a little big, it should be sleeves up or off, one or the other, especially when you're working in and around the PTO shaft. When it's not spinning, again, not overly dangerous, but when you've got something hooked onto it, be it a baler or a hay rake or a Moco, and you're out here working on it while the PTO is spinning, you're going to have to be very careful. Most tractors have a safety that when the operator is not in the seat, the PTO shuts off, but there's a lot of folks that that doesn't work, or the tractor's old enough that it doesn't have those safeties. So you're going to have to be very, very careful, because one reach in to do something, to free up a chain or to do something, and you're going to lose hopefully just a sweater, but there's been lots of accidents where people have lost limbs, fingers, arms, and even worse, you've lost feet and legs. So the PTO is a very, very dangerous spot to be, and you're going to have to pay a lot of attention while you're out here at the back doing PTO.
So Rob, we have a question. Can you explain what a PTO shaft is for?
Yeah, so the PTO shaft, this is the tractor side of the PTO shaft. When you get an implement, be it a hay rake or a Moco or baler, anything, basically anything that hooks onto the back of the tractor that needs powered, there's going to be a shaft that comes on that piece of equipment. They vary in length, so I've seen some that are 10 feet, I've seen some that are short, a foot or a foot and a half, and the PTO shaft is going to be what hooks to this shaft here and connects you to the gearbox or the PTO shaft on the implement behind. So what that's going to do is it's going to enable the tractor power to run the mower behind it, because the mower doesn't have a motor on it separately. So that's going to be the PTO shaft, and they again come in all different sizes and shapes. Big tractors have them, smaller little tractors like this one we've got over here will have PTO shafts as well, and they are very dangerous regardless of size. So now we'll go around and talk about getting into the tractor cab here with the 3 points of safety. So as it was brought to everybody's attention there a couple years ago, that 3 points of safety is a new recommendation to get in and out of tractors. What that's going to mean is when you get the door open here to get into the cab of the tractor, you always keep 3 points on the ground. So you're going to hold on to one here, you've got both your feet, so now you should put your other hand here, so you've got 3 points of contact. Lift this foot to get in, you've still got your 3 points of contact. If you need to move a hand or whatever, now you can, because you've got this one here, and you're going to step up and continue to step up with those 3 points of contact as you go. So when you get into the tractor cab, in this tractor here we're going to have what we call an instructional seat. So the big thing with going into a cab of a tractor like this is safety. So being that it's a closed station cab, basically as soon as you get in, you need to wear your seatbelt. So I'm going to put my seatbelt on here, even though we're not going anywhere. like that. And now I can safely operate this tractor without getting hurt if a rollover were to occur. This instructional seat beside me here, or everybody calls it the buddy seat, which it is 100%, is only normally intended for instructional purposes. So if you've got a salesman out in the field showing you how to run a baler or to set up a new baler, or setting up a tillage tool or whatever, this seat's normally reserved for them. That being said, it is perfectly safe as soon as you put this seatbelt on for anybody to sit in that seat. So if you're going to have date night, you can do that, no problem, but it's got to have a seatbelt on that buddy seat. So riding on fenders, riding on laps, riding on the steps, all of those are not safe, and you can fall off and get hurt. Very, very poor practice to do that, but definitely if you're inside a cab, you need to wear this seatbelt and make sure your passenger's secured too if there's a seat for them. So while we're in the cab of the tractor, what we can also talk about here is the four-way flashers. So if you're out on the road and you need to be traveling in between fields, or you need to be doing even in the field sometimes, if you need somebody to see you, this tractor is equipped with four-way flashers. So what that does is it turns on the outside marker lights here on the outside over the duals where the duals would be, and it's also going to turn on your rear brake lights. What that signals is that you are driving either down the road or everybody needs to pay attention to you. Four ways, as far as I'm concerned, need to be on as soon as you're on the road. Even if you're doing 40 clicks or so, you still need to have your four ways on. So that being said, this tractor also has turn signals, and you can flip them back and forth just like a regular car turn signal, left or right, whichever you're turning. So that being said, if you've got an implement on behind, a bale wagon or a baler or anything, it's always preferred that they have lights too, so that the people behind you can see. That's the main part of the safety there, is that the people behind you can see, because you know where you're going, they don't know where you're going. So that being said, we'll exit out of this tractor cab, again using our 3 points of safety here, and we'll move over to this little smaller tractor I've got here, and we'll talk about rollover protection. So this is another tractor. Again, a lot of smaller farms, or hobbyists, or even big time farms that have small stuff to move. You're going to see a lot of these compact, smaller tractors work in the fields too. This tractor here has what we call an open operator station and a rollover protection system on it. So what we can explain to you a little bit about the rollover protection system here is that this roll bar here is certified so that if the tractor flips over, it's going to keep you and only you on this seat safe if you have your seatbelt on. That being said, if you were to get onto this tractor and need to go into a barn that's low clearance, or underneath a mow or something in another barn, you can fold this roll bar down. When you fold this roll bar down, the number one thing to remember is if the roll bar is down, the seatbelt needs to be off. If you have the seatbelt off, and if the tractor were to start to roll over, tip over, you can at least jump on and keep yourself safe. That being said, if you've got the roll bar up, as soon as that roll bar goes up, you need to wear your seatbelt. So that's the big thing with rollover protection, is either if the roll bar is up, seatbelt on; if it's down, seatbelt off. This tractor here also has a front end loader on it. Loaders are a very handy tool for everybody, both farmers and not alike. These tractors here, as soon as you have a loader on it, obviously that's another whole hazard to deal with, because you can have a loader that has the bucket up in the air, and somebody shuts the tractor off, and the loader still is live at that point. And you can, as you can see, this tractor is not running, and I'm moving the bucket. So that being said, you have to be very, very careful, and the number one rule is when you get off of a tractor, make sure your loader's down on the ground. So if there's forks on the bucket, you could have the forks up in the air and have somebody trip over them and fall down. If the loader's up in the air and somebody presses this by accident, you get somebody on the seat that doesn't know what they're doing maybe, or a younger kid, and they press the lever by accident, that loader will come crashing down, and it could crush whoever's underneath the loader bucket. So you got to be very, very careful when you're dealing with loaders on tractors as well. So, and we're going to go back here to the big tractor for a bit of a wrap up. So the big thing is going to be that if you guys are out and about in the fields, you're approaching the tractor like Kaylee said at the start of this video, and you're going to see mom and dad, or you're going to see a friend, make sure that they know you're coming, because they may be paying attention to something that's behind them and not paying attention to what's in front of them. So you got to be very, very careful that they see you and you see them. So Once they give you that A-OK to come over to the tractor, by all means, go out and have a ride around in the buddy seat as long as you wear your seatbelt. But you got to make sure that you're doing all that stuff safely and going to keep yourself and your family at this time safe.
And Rob, we have a question. So can you explain what the operator is able to hear or not able to hear when inside a cab?
So inside a cab, being that I ran a few tractors, there's very little noise that you can hear inside of a cab. So even sometimes a car horn would not be able to be heard in the cab if the car is behind you or trying to turn in front of you. There's very little noise, especially in the newer cabs. The newer you get, the less noise there is for comfort of the operator. That being said, you've got to be very, very careful that you can't hear anything going on outside of you, especially when you've got the radio cranked right up. You can't hear anything at that point. So that's a very good question, and there's very little road noise and or outside noise in a cab like this, especially when you've got either a baler on behind you or a large seeder. You cannot hear anything. So that answered that.
Perfect. So we have no other questions. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Some quick farm safety tips, especially on a hot day today, is to wear your sunscreen, have water, and like Rob and myself, to wear closed-toe shoes when you're around farm equipment. So we hope you have a safe and fun summer, and thank you again for tuning in.